For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on your favorite podcast app. And I should also say, happy Thanksgiving. It was yesterday, right? It's November 29th. It's Friday, so you might have had Thanksgiving yesterday. Or, you know what ends up happening is a lot of people end up just doing it on the weekend. But anyway, hope you had a great holiday. Today is Black Friday, Black and Blue Friday, as I like to call it. So this is the day when you wake up early or you camp outside and you get tasered in the store or punched in the face or elbowed or shot, or you roll around just to get that cheap TV that you don't even need. You just go for the sport of it. Anyway, again, that's just the cynic in me. Thanks for tuning in today. Hey, I have got a lot to talk about because there's just a lot going on in my life. Here's the deal. I'm going to set up the stories for you, and then you be the judge, and you tell me which ones are the interesting tidbits here. If you find that there's a mouse in your house, do you freak out? Does it become a battle? Is it a war? Is it a war? You've seen how many sitcom episodes, right, where there's like a nasty pest or something? Three's Company had one, if I'm not mistaken, right? There was one on Married with Children, and then the people basically destroy the house trying to get this mouse. Well, I've got a story because there was a mouse, or mice, in my house, and it led to some disappointment. I'm going to tell you why, coming up in just a little bit. And there's also a lesson about responsible drinking. People sometimes spend a little bit more when they've had a few drinks. Well, I did with charity. Charity's not a person. I'm talking charity, nonprofit organization. I don't want to say I regret it because I'm supporting charity, but I certainly am going to think twice about how I spend when I drink. That story is coming up as well. I also read an article that says millennials are leaving their apartments less and less. First off, I believe I'm a millennial. I might be just on the fringe. I might be on the outside of it. But I own a house. But I'm going to tell you why I don't agree. I mean, I agree with the story in terms of people staying in nowadays, but I got some thoughts on that as well. Also, have you ever heard this? Hi, someone called me from this number. Yeah, and? Well, I'm going to tell you about that as well because it happened to me, and then the person was texting me, but they were really wrong. That story is coming up as well. And if there's time, I'm going to get into a story about my dogs because I've had some very weird dreams, and I know that there's people who analyze and assess dreams and tell you what it means, right? What it means in the subconscious. I'm going to put it out there, and if you are tuned into that kind of thing, I want your thoughts as to what it all means. And again, that's if there is time. We have our stories listed out here, and if I run a little bit long, we might have to cut one or two of them. So that's a maybe story, depending on how our timing goes, all right? I'm already 3 minutes in. We're going to get into those right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
I'm laughing. My producer Bonnie just said, if you wouldn't have spent 3.5 minutes recapping or talking about what's coming up on the show and just got into the damn stories, we wouldn't be running out of time. Thank you very much. And that is why she's our executive producer, everybody. Bonnie Winters, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So that first story I told you about was a mouse in the house. And again, most people would be kind of, you're on a chase right now. You want to get this damn thing, right? And I'm assuming most people would want it dead, right? You want to kill it. I want to get it, and then it's out of here. Well, here's what happened. About a week or so, maybe about 2 weeks ago, I noticed that there was a hole in the dog food bag. Now, I just figured because this bag is dragged out of the cupboard twice a day, right? It's pulled out, we scoop it out, feed the dogs, then we put it back. I had thought that it just got caught on the cupboard hinge and then just ripped over time. This is it's a very large, it's like a 40-pound bag, so it lasts a long time, right? It's not like it's only been, a week and then it's gone. It's in that cupboard for a fair bit of time. And so when you're dragging it, right, you're pulling it out of the cupboard, you're scooping and you're sliding it back, maybe the bottom wore out, right? And I didn't think anything of it. Honestly, I didn't. And so now there's a hole in the bottom of the bag. Well, then I don't go grocery shopping very often because I have groceries delivered because I'm one of those lazy people. No, let me say time-efficient people. Either way, I don't go grocery shop anymore, so I don't need to go into the cupboard where the grocery bags are kept. And quite honestly, I have a lot of cupboards in the kitchen, and I don't have a lot of stuff in my house. And so this cupboard really just has a bunch of those canvas bags, shopping bags, and that's really all I go into that cupboard for. And so because I haven't gone grocery shopping in I don't know how many months because I have stuff delivered, I don't go into that cupboard. And so I go in there, I open it, and I see it looks like black rice is what it looks like. And I was kind of like, okay, maybe, again, this is my stupidity, maybe I did have rice in the bottom of one of the bags and it's just gone bad. I swear that's what I thought, really. And then I was kind of so I got one of the canvas bags and I was like, oh, there's a hole in the side. I was like, that's weird. And then there was also a paper bag inside one of those canvas bags. And that was all shredded. So it took me a moment. It really did. It took me a moment. And I was like, this looks like there was some sort of a creature that was taking care of the bag. I'm not kidding. This is how naive I am. Or not naive. I just wouldn't expect that I would have a mouse or mice in my house. Mouse in my house. Mice in my house. I don't know. I'm into the pina coladas today. And so then I'm in a panic going, oh my God, I've got to get rid of this. But here's the thing. I'm an animal lover. So my first thought is, I'm not killing these things. I'm not killing them. I'm not. I've got to figure out, there's got to be a way that I can keep them out of my house, out of my cupboard. And it was just in those two spots, in the dog food side. Now, in between, though, there are 4 cupboard doors. There's 2 of them that are kind of like those double door sections. And then the ones on the end, where the dog food and then these canvas bags are on the other end, that's where the rodent droppings were found. They were not found in the 2 middle sections, which is underneath the kitchen sink. And then in another section where I just have some mini appliances, like those little grills and things like that. So they're only in the dog food and the canvas. So they're not up in the cupboard where the plates and things are. They're not in the food cupboard. They're just in these 2 things where there's the dog food and the canvas bags. So I was like, I'm not, my mom, why, I don't know. I called my mom because I know that they've had mice out at the lake, at the cottage. And so I wanted to know what they did. Again, logical is you put out traps and you kill them. That's exactly what she told me. And I said to her, I'm like, I'm not killing these things. I don't care. There's a humane way, I'm sure, to get rid of these things. They're just trying to come in, stay warm for the winter, have a meal, something like that. There's no need for me to kill them. Then, of course, the next logical question is where you're going to trap them. Then what are you going to do with them? You're going to release them into the cold and they're going to freeze and they're going to die, so you killed them anyway. Not true. They would hopefully find a warm place to hide, maybe underground or in a pile of wood or something like that, right? So no, I'm not necessarily killing them. Thanks, Mom, for trying to spin that on me. And so she's telling me you're nuts. There's gonna be messes all over your house. They carry disease. I'm never coming to your house. So there's a positive in this whole thing. And while you're and then they multiply, so you're gonna have them everywhere. Your house is gonna be overrun. And It's like, leave it to mom, right? To give me the worst case scenario of this whole thing. So bottom line is, I've got to get traps, right? I need to get these things. It's one thing to, like, let's say plug the hole from where they're coming in from the outside. That's one thing. But if they're already in the house, I got to do something with them while they're in the house as well. So I find that there are traps. I did realize that there are these ones that it's almost like a little house kind of a thing where there's the little entrance and then they get trapped in it. Doesn't kill them, and it even explicitly says in the instructions or in the product write-up that this is a humane way. It traps them, it locks them in there, and then you can release them without having to touch them, kill them, anything like that. I was like, perfect, there we go, I got it. Ran out, bought some the next day, obviously cleaned up the little turds that were in my cupboard, and I bought 3 of them, actually. I bought one for outside by the house where I think they might come in. I don't know. Why did my voice go up there for a second? Anyway. And then one for the dog cupboard, and then one for the bag cupboard. Now, of course, because I'm an animal lover, I still have this weird feeling that they're going to get killed in there. I don't know why. I feel like they're going to get trapped in there for days and days, and they're going to die, and I've killed them in a roundabout way. Well, no, we check them every day. So I put them out. I go to bed that night. I was like, okay, that's probably when they're going to come out because the dogs aren't around. It's quiet. That's their time to come out. So I figure when I come in the morning into the kitchen, in the cupboards, that I'm going to have at least 3 mice, 1 in each, or 2 mice, 1 in each one, and maybe 1 outside, who knows. And I'm like I'm nervously opening the cupboard to feed the dogs, right? I'm slowly, and I'm like, oh my God, they're going to be in here. I don't want to, just again, fearing they're dead. And I'm not afraid of mice. I'm just nervous that this thing is going to kill them somehow. Well, it has been 5 days, 6 days, no mice. But also, no more little mouse turds. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the only person, me, Jeremy D. Bradley, is the only person who's disappointed that I haven't caught the mice and got rid of them. Is this weird to feel this way? I should be relieved that they're gone, at least as far as I can tell, at least from the kitchen cupboards anyway. But I'm disappointed because I went and got all these things so I don't have to kill them. Hey, you guys, just go into this thing and I'll release you somewhere else. But they're gone. I feel a little bit ripped off. I'm just kind of like, did just the thought of this thing being in the cupboard scare them away? Like, I don't know what happened. So I'm disappointed that I don't have mice anymore. I'm a very bizarre person to everybody. And if you haven't figured that out over the time that you've been listening to this show or me on the radio or reading my newspaper column, I feel I'm pissed off that I don't have mice in my house anymore because I went to all this trouble to humanely get rid of them, and they've just evacuated themselves is what they've done. So anyway, that is my mouse in the house story, which went on a little bit longer than I expected. We're going to take a break. When I come back, talking about drunk bidding right after this on the Scribble.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here, back on the Scribble. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, they're telling me to do that whole subscribe thing. I've mentioned that I hate doing this. It's like those YouTube people. Remember to leave a comment below, click the bell, subscribe, get notifications. There you go. All right, there, I've done it. They're shaking their heads. I learned a lesson about drinking and spending. Probably about, and I swear to you, this was at least maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. I was at a hotel bar in a lounge having some drinks. And actually that happens quite often because I travel so much. So it's so not uncommon for me to do that. But it wasn't a hotel that I was staying at. And so as I was leaving, if you've ever seen any of those like paintings or pieces of artwork that are set up in like a hotel lobby, and there's a little form to fill out, you can do like a silent bid kind of a thing, right? The highest bidder gets this thing. It's usually for charity, some sort of a fundraiser. I've seen so many of these in recent weeks. And I don't usually think anything of it. But when I was leaving a hotel, and I was with a colleague, and she noticed it in the hotel lobby and said, "Oh my God, look at that. That painting is a golden retriever. You should totally bid on it because you have a golden retriever and a lab cross." And so I was kind of like, "Oh, whatever." And I brushed it off at first. And then I said, what the hell? The opening bid was $200. Again, you fill out this form, you write what your maximum bid is, drop it into the little mystery box, and then you hope to hell you don't win it, right? That's kind of what I was doing. And again, a little bit of the booze going through the system. I put a significant amount more than $200 on my little slip of paper and put it into the bin, into the box thing. And I did that as I was filling it out. And she didn't notice, my colleague didn't notice what I was writing. And I remember saying, I'm never going to win this thing anyway. But I felt good because I was showing my support. I showed that I was willing to pay this much for this painting of a dog that I really didn't want. And see, that's the way I do it. That's my good deed doing, is I don't want this, but I'll support you by pretending I want it and putting in a bid. Well, wouldn't you know it? Maybe this is that karma thing they talk about. I was out, and all of a sudden I get a phone call from some company name that I didn't recognize, didn't answer it. Moments later, I get a text message at the same time, and then I got an email a few minutes earlier, but I had deleted it because I thought it was spam. Turns out it's the woman from the organization going and saying, "Congratulations, Jeremy, you were the highest bidder and you won the painting of the golden retriever." Now, here's the thing. I didn't talk to her in the moment. I read the text message, and then my phone transcribes a voicemail as well, so I don't actually have to dial into voicemail, because who leaves voicemail nowadays? And so basically she says that on the message, and I'm sitting here going, oh, crap. And so I call my colleague, because again, like I said, I was out and about. I call her and I was like, what was it that I bid on? Was it a picture of ducks? Was it a picture of a farm with a tractor and a sunset? Was it, because again, like I said, these are popping up everywhere. So I've seen so many of these kinds of paintings. And I remember being with her, but I couldn't pinpoint, was this in my hometown? Was this when we traveled somewhere? Where did we see this, and what did I bid on? And so she said, It was a painting of a golden retriever. Don't you remember? And I said, well, kind of. But again, I remember so many of them. I don't know. I said, are you sure it wasn't the one with ducks or something on it? Because I remember talking to you about that one too. She's like, no. It was I said, well, how much did I bid? And she's like, I don't remember, but the opening bid was $200. You probably didn't do much more than that because, you're basically a cheap asshole. Why would you? And you don't give to charity, so why would you put more than that? And I said, good point. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll call this woman back and, find out how much I bid. And so, sure enough, it was the golden retriever one. And I will not, only my accountant and my credit card company know how much I spent on this painting. It was significantly more than what I would put in my house. And I'm trying to think about the expensive things that I have in my house, which is, few and far between, whatever. I don't have many expensive things, at least in terms of like paintings or artwork. I don't even have that in my house. And so I spent quite a bit of money on this thing that I said, okay, I'm never going to win it. What the hell? I'll show that I'm supporting the cause. And sure as shit, I win the painting. So anyway, there's a lesson for you, by the way. don't, people say about like drunk texting, whatever. This is drunk bidding. Don't fill out a form where you've got to put a dollar amount and your signature because. And it did say on there, and I do remember reading that like it's like a legally binding contract because you've signed it. And I'm sitting there going, really, this charity's going to come after me and break my knees if I don't do it. So I'm a good sport. It's charity, whatever, and it's a golden retriever. So I don't have it yet, by the way. They say it's going to be delivered at some point, but. Yeah, this is, and now I'm gonna have to get it insured. I'm gonna have to get that room of my house like fully alarmed because this is one expensive piece of artwork that I bought. Tell me about your drunken mistakes. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. And you know what? I have money to spend. A lot of millennials do not. I've got a story about millennials in the next segment. We're back right after this.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
JB here, back on the Scribble. I believe I'm a millennial. I was born in 1982, so am I just on the outskirts of that? I'm not Gen X, Gen Y, whatever they're called. I'm certainly not a boomer. So I believe I'm a millennial. I'm 37 years old. Anyway, I own a house. I own a company. I don't think that I fall in the traditional millennial description as people in the younger demographic consider themselves, I guess. I want to distance myself from millennials because I think that things have changed. Times have changed. I bought my house when I was 25 years old. I have had, obviously, a solid career now for a good 15 years. And I think that millennials are in a different, I'm going to use the word league, which sounds disrespectful, or a different boat, maybe. Let's say it that way. Because housing prices have gone through the roof now, and things have changed. I don't know many mid-20s, 20 folks who are in a position to buy a house now. My house was $154,000 in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. It was very, very cheap. And now my house can sell for like $250,000, so almost $100,000 more, even without doing very much to it, because that's just the way the market has gone. So depending on where you live, now let's say a city, New York, Los Angeles, Toronto, Vancouver, you're not going to be able to get a house. You could, maybe it's on fire and has police tape around it for that price, but and I also know somebody in Vancouver who got a condo. Now, this is probably about 10 years ago, around the same time I bought my house. I guess my house I've almost had for 12 years now. He bought a condo for $400,000 because it has a view of the mountains, and it's a nice size. It's a nice apartment. But he made a comment and said, I'm probably never going to pay this off. This will be, my whole life will be that way. My house will be paid off in about 8 years or so. But that's the thing. So if I want to go and sell my house, I'm going to have to pay a lot more to probably get something smaller then. So you're kind of almost locked in your house if you bought it a long time ago, right? Because now a house that I paid $154,000 for is going to be $250,000, $300,000. And so I won't be able to get something the same size or the equivalent, right? It would probably be, based on how the market is, it would probably be something less or smaller, however you want to describe your house. So with millennials, there was an article that I read that it says that they're leaving their apartments less and less. Well, first off, I took offense to that because that's an assumption that millennials don't have money to buy a house. And as I've just outlined, I did, because I'm, I guess, technically a millennial. But I don't know that I am. I'm on the fringe, right? I'm on the outskirts of that grouping. So millennials, yes, they are not leaving their apartments, and they're not leaving their parents' basement, because that's also just a financial thing. I'm not knocking them. That's the reality of it. I lived in my parents' basement until I was 25. And it's not to do with money. It's saying that millennials are basically, they're getting their social interaction and entertainment at home on their devices. And again, as the author of the book, Put Down Your Damn Phone Already, I understand why they're not leaving their house. They're becoming hermits. And also, it goes on to say that, there's people who just don't want to have to deal with the world. They're sick of the BS. They're sick of the drama. And maybe they feel it's a dangerous world out there. It's a dangerous place. So you're just in your own little bubble. But it struck me odd when it says not leaving their apartment. It could say not leaving home, although that might imply your parents' place. But if you actually read the article, you'd understand it. So it's interesting because, I don't know. Again, the thing that struck me with that article is that it said apartment, not leaving their apartment. And I feel that in my life, on the radio, in the newspaper, in books, I'm constantly bombarded with interactions from people anyway. So for me, the weekend, when the weekend rolls around, and that's the days, not the music star, when the weekend rolls around, I do want to hide out from the world. I do want to just shut everybody out. I don't want to go out in public. But that's 2 days a week or 3 days a week when I'm not working. I just kind of like being in my own bubble. For the rest of the time, right, my job is constantly being tuned in to entertainment news and celebrities and pop culture and whatever. So I do get that fill of social interactivity on Twitter or Facebook, what have you. But yeah, millennials aren't leaving the home because they're getting their entertainment from their devices. That people are dating on the internet. You don't even have to go out to a restaurant with somebody anymore. You can get engaged and married on the internet before you even meet face to face in person, where you can shake their hand and have sex with them and get gonorrhea. It's just one of those things that I don't know. So this is where I feel that we have that. We run that risk when we go and say millennials, because that is a huge age range in the first place. And not everybody's in the same place. No different. I think I said it last week when you talk about politics and you say Republicans believe this, or men and women say this, or gay people say this. That is a huge generalization, first off, to go and say that because you're a man, you feel this way, or because you're a woman, you're behind this movement, or because you're gay, you support pride events. It's difficult to say that. So when you say, when it's a survey of 50 millennials and they're all wannabe Instagram models, well, okay, that view might be different than somebody like me who owns a business and couldn't give two shits about social media, right? So it's a little bit different. Anyway, tell me your thoughts. Millennials not leaving the apartment because they're getting all of their social interaction on their devices. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. I've heard about this as well when it comes to nightclubs, because when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, nightclubs, that's what you did on a Friday, Saturday night, right? You'd have your little nap. You'd wake up at 9 o'clock, you'd have some drinks with your friends, and you'd go to the bar at 11 o'clock, and you'd dance the night away, and you'd get sloppy drunk, and you'd get home at 2 o'clock in the morning. No, sir, you'd go to Perkins restaurant, have some greasy food to soak up the booze, and then you'd go home, maybe by 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. But you'd go to a nightclub, and you would dance all night, and that's something that that was my generation. And I can't say that millennials are doing that. Maybe it's a little bit different where there's house parties and you're getting messed up and you're getting pregnant or whatever you're doing when you're 15, 16 years old. Well, you're not a millennial, are you? I don't know. Somebody's got to tell me the definition of millennial. I just know that I'm on the tail end of it. I don't consider myself a millennial because when I hear these stories about people describing what millennials are like, I say, well, that's not me then. But if I'm 37 and it was that, I'm in that time frame, that window, then I guess I'm a millennial by default. Is what it is, because of my age. So, live@jbonair.com. We're back right after this.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter @The Scribble Show and @thescribbleshow.com.
Oh my God, we've got less than a minute. Somebody called me from this number. Have you done that before? You've misdialed. You quickly hang up because you realized you dialed the wrong number, and then suddenly the person calls you back and is like, I just got a call from this number. Here's the deal. If I didn't leave you a voicemail and you don't know this number, then it was probably the wrong number. There's no need to confirm that. Leave it alone. I had a person actually text me, even though I wasn't even near my phone, but apparently somehow they got a call from my number, and then they're arguing with me by text, saying that, yes, you did call me. Here's the deal. Let it go. You seem desperate. Are you a millennial looking for a date? Is that what it is? My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat